My name is Tarmack, and this is your Game Industry News Wrap-Up for the week of December 10th, 2016. Crytek appears to be in financial troubles with recent reports of employees from their Black Sea studio in Bulgaria having been short paychecks for about 3.5 months. It's not just low-level employees either, and that's in addition to a claim of an employee in Germany that hadn't been paid in about 6 months. Crytek has also just removed the Denuvo anti-tamper protection from their VR title The Climb, which, given that Denuvo generally involves ongoing payments to license the service, would support a claim of financial hardship. It is worth noting this is the same studio that bragged about how many late-night dinners and thus crunch hours its employees had worked back in 2013. It's always frustrating and sad when developers are having a rough go of things, so my sympathies go out to the employees affected. We saw some footage of Super Mario Run this week and got a bit of news about how the game will function on iOS devices at release. The game releases on iOS December 15th for $10 US and will require an active internet connection in order to play. So those folks looking forward to playing it while traveling will have to deal with that unnecessary DRM restriction. Nintendo, in fact, came right out and said this online requirement is to thwart piracy. I'm relieved. No release date for Android has been announced yet, but it is inevitable, and frankly, I was worried that I was actually going to spend some time playing the game. This makes that decision much easier. China passed some new regulations surrounding online games, which is going to make the somewhat near future, that being May 1st, 2017, very interesting. The new rules state that online game publishers that involve virtual items by way of loot boxes will now have to publicly state the drop rates involved. So games like Overwatch with its loot boxes would have to have some kind of public drop rate on items in the box. While it certainly is possible for drop rates to be different in North America and Europe, it is an unlikely outcome. So for the first time that I can recall, the game industry is getting more transparency precisely because of the Chinese government. Thanks, China. Similar to the story about Crytek, but without the crippling debt, Bethesda has removed Denuvo from Doom in the most recent patch for the first-person exorcism simulator. Similar to the issue with Inside having Denuvo removed, the current rumor floating around is a guarantee clause in the Denuvo contract that should the anti-tamper software not be successful in preventing piracy for a period of time set in the contract, the developer can remove Denuvo and receive a refund because the software didn't do its job. In short, if a game gets pirated, they get their money back. This has an element of logic to it as well, due to both Inside and Denuvo having cracks appear online within a reasonably short time of having patched Denuvo out. I've been seeking more information to do a full video on this topic, but as yet, nobody's willing to break NDA with me. I never thought I'd say this, but I'm kinda glad the pirates still did their work here. If piracy is what stops the industry from using Denuvo, then at the end of the day, that's good for the end consumer. That's about as close to supporting piracy as I'll get, because if it weren't for piracy, there would be no need for Denuvo in the first place, though. Russ Shanks, the president of Daybreak Studios, makers of H1Z1, who has been the president for only a year since the previous incumbent John Smedley resigned, has also left the company. He's being replaced for the moment by G. Ham, who is an executive at Columbus Nova, the company that bought Sony Online Entertainment Software division. So basically, given that H1Z1 has shown you that you never have to finish a game in order to make any money, and now is being run entirely by an investment firm executive, I don't think that I'd be expecting it to finish anytime soon, if ever. Quick, Internet Mob, defend how much fun playing an unfinished game for several years with no end in sight is. I'll be over here with my completed games. Obsidian Entertainment is laying off a number of staff from its developer team working on the free-to-play tank team shooter Armored Warfare in early 2017. Obsidian was contracted by Mail.ru in Russia to do some work on the title, and that a portion of that work has been rescinded, resulting in the layoff. I have no snark. If you work for a dev house that's hiring, maybe reach out to Obsidian to see if you can help these devs land on their feet. In a collaborative effort of virtual proportions, companies Acer, Google, HTC, Oculus, Samsung, and Sony have gotten together under the Global Virtual Reality Association banner in order to, quote, promote responsible development and adoption of VR globally, end quote. The primary function of the organization is to work towards industry standards, which, with any luck, will result in standard operating procedures for VR hardware design. This would make software design on VR headsets much easier on developers, and while it's not a tacit admission that companies will avoid anti-consumer exclusivity practices, it does at least make cross-platform modding and compatibility better. Oh, to be a fly on the wall of a meeting between some of the biggest privacy-bungling companies on the planet. And HTC has also set up a brand new company called VIVE Studios, who is a content publisher with the mandate of releasing new, high-quality content for the HTC VIVE. The intent here is to put out deeper, richer, and longer VR titles. VIVE Studios has also released its first title along with the announcement for a game called Arcade Saga, which is quite literally little more than a shiny rehash of old arcade games. So about that new high-quality, deep, rich content, HTC. This has been your Game Industry News Wrap-Up for the week of December 10th, 2016. If you want to follow me on Instagram, that's unfortunate because I've never used Instagram. My name is Tarmack. Thanks for watching.